Okay, I just need to make sure everything is working. And fantastic. It looks like we're live. So let me take up the time to set things up, and soon we'll get ourselves rolling. So, all right, everybody, my name is Chris, and welcome to my board game guides. So recently I finally hit my 100 subscribers, so I figured a good way to celebrate this milestone would be to do a solo playthrough of my favorite board game. And that board game is Agricola, because I really love just how difficult this game is to figure out as you struggle and do your best to build as badass a farm as possible. So without further ado, let's get started. First thing I gotta do is shuffle out the occupations so I can actually figure out what my strategy will be. But once we do that, we'll get underway. Now let's get some lights up too. Hopefully the glare won't be too bad. There we go. All right, 7 cards. So this is one player, one player. This is a 4-player card. Several 4-player cards stuck in here, so I'll have to get rid of those and replace those with 1-player cards. Oh, well, this is nice. And 3. Okay, so these are my starting occupations right here. And it's actually a pretty good set. I mean, we have the ever popular Field Watchman, which allows me to take 2 actions for the price of 1. I've got myself a Church Warden, which is great in helping me get a lot of wood early on, and wood is pretty scarce in the single player version. The other ones, not that important. The layabout's good actually, because there are times where you just don't want to feed your family during the harvest. So this gives you an opportunity to really, really ratchet up your play. So we've got a lot of interesting choices, and I'm looking forward to seeing what I can do with these. So let's go. Starting off with stage 1. Stage 1 is fences. Okay, well, when you're playing the solo version of Agricola, it's always advisable to take day labor because that's what will help you get all your occupations that you might want to play. And I don't see there any reason to deviate from that. So I'll take day labor, myself 2 food, and then my next action will be to play occupation. And let's make that a church warden, because I do like the prospect of being able to get 4 wood immediately, and it'll give us more options later on. So let's get ourselves 4 wood. All right, guys, go back. Second turn. So bake bread. All right. Well, let's keep going with day labor. And for the next one, I think I will play second occupation. We'll make that a layabout. So that way I can go ahead and skip out on the harvest. Granted, I'll have to pay 1 food to do so. So we'll go from there. And you know what? Thinking about this, there's one thing I forgot to do, and it's kind of embarrassing. I forgot to deal out my minor improvements, so let me do that right now. Oh boy. Yeah, I'm just a little too excited about getting the occupation started that I completely neglected the whole minor improvements, because minor improvements, like it or not, will play into the eventual strategy. So, and I forgot to fill out the resources too. So, yeah, this isn't going off on a very good foot, but who cares? If I cheat anybody, the only person I'll wind up cheating is myself. So with the minor occupations, I've got guest, which is okay, bookshelf, which is decent. Turn rest plow, won't really need it because, well, I got 2 plows, which normally would be useful, except I have a field watchman. So there's really no reason for me to play any of those. So at the end of the day, I think the only one that might be useful would be bookshelf and forest pasture, just so I can hold as many of the boars as possible. So that's should be about it. Let me get the resources filled out too, because that would be a complete oversight if I forgot that. Granted, I've already taken my actions, so no take backsies, I guess. Okay, now we go to stage 3, which is major minor, which is not bad. Gives me some opportunities. So let's do things right this time. So we've got another set of wood, another set of clay, some reed, and some more food. So this one, I think the smart choice to do would be to grab the 6 wood. This will give me some wiggle room to just start pumping out family members, which is, if you watched any of my strategy videos, is effectively the best way to go about things. All right, then we next action. You know what? I will take another occupation square to play the field watchman. So now I have 2 food, but I get to skip the next harvest, and I effectively can start building rooms really quickly, which is very nice to have. So with that, we're done here. Finally, we flip this, and we get our first sheep. Get ourselves on the 3 wood, or rather 2 wood in the sold variant. Clay, and then fishing. So obvious actions will be to take the reed and spend all of it to build 2 rooms. So here's 5 wood, 2 reed, 5 wood, and another 2 reed, and now we have our 2 rooms ready to go. So take the guys back. Now it is harvest time, but remember, I played the layabout, so I don't really need to worry about feeding my people because I get to skip this turn, which is really nice. So with that in mind, let's see what the next turn brings. We flip, and what do you know? It is family growth. I didn't plan it that way, but that is such a sigh of relief. So let's refill the board. 2 wood, 1 clay, 1 reed, 1 fishing, and another sheep. Well, with all that at my disposal, what do I want to do next? I think I'll let clay sit a little bit further, but let's get the first thing out of the way first. Family growth, nice to have. And let's get ourselves a forest pasture so I can hold some boar, get 1 point, and best of all, this card is free. So why wouldn't I want to play that? All right, the next action, I'm not 100% sure what I'll do, but let's start getting that grain engine up and going. I do have a field watchman, so let's put him to work. Field watchman. There we go. Let's have this start over here. All right. Stage 2. We start getting stone. Excellent. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Let's refill our board. 2, 1, 1, 1, another sheep, and finally, our first stone. So far, so good. Let's see. All right, decisions. This one should be fairly easy. Let's go for, what would I want to play? Yeah, this one's going to be a little difficult for me to figure out what to do exactly because I do have quite a few options. So first off, let's go ahead and take some clay because that'll be useful when we renovate. Take the reed, also for renovation reasons. And then we'll go ahead and do our family growth action. Do I have anything I would like to play? Well, I could play a guest. I mean, it's an additional action for 2 food, so why not? You can debate later whether this strategy is a good idea, but let's go with it and see what happens. I'll get myself a guest for the price of 2 food. So let's go grab ourselves a guest. We'll make this white token right here the guest token, just to differentiate things a little bit. Okay, take our guys back. We are now at 4 people. So that's going to be quite the amount of feeding to do the next round, but I am fairly confident that everything will go pretty easily. Now, if I remember correctly, with this many people, you will want to be able to, in solo mode, you have to pay 3 food per person instead of the usual 2 food. So that definitely puts a lot of pressure on me to make sure my food engine is functional. So let's make sure it's functional. Because I do have a lot of people, I do have a lot of options. Let's hope those options allow me to do a lot. So let's start off by renovating. 4 clay, 1 reed. We'll turn all my houses from wooden houses to clay houses, which will give me more points in the end game. Of course, I'm not going to stop there, and then I'll spend 2, because this allows me to play a major improvement. I'll spend 2 to build myself a fireplace. So this way, I can finally start slaughtering sheep. Let's put this over here so you guys can see it just a little bit. All right, well, second action. Well, I'll go ahead and why don't we take fishing? So this will be enough food for 3, 4, 5, 6. 7 people. I also have a guest. Can't forget that. Guest will be useful. So let's use the guest to take a grain. And in doing so, also plow a field. Have 2 more actions left. So I will go ahead and grab the sheep. So since I have an overabundance of sheep, I'll have to slaughter them all, except for one, which I'll keep as a pet. But this will get me 6 food, which will be enough to allow me to harvest. So that's fantastic. Get myself 6 food. And then for my final action, what will I do? What will I do? Let's go and take, let's go ahead and sow bake. Good way to start off that grain engine. Plus it'll probably pay dividends later on in the game. So round is over. Now we go to the harvest. These 2 go. Now I'll have to feed my people. So I have 4 people. That accounts to 12 food, I believe. Somehow I don't remember the game being this difficult, but such is life. 1, 2, 3. Let me just check something really quick. Hearing something. So yeah, 12 food, which is rough. But hopefully I'll be able to pull through. So, all right. Did I ever say this game is difficult? Well, it definitely is. All right, we start a new round, new life, but I'm not as confident as I was before. So let's see how well we'll do here. Have to do everything I can to get as much food as possible. And I definitely tapped out a lot of good sources for that. And boar. All right. So, big priority now is going to be on the food engine. So let's see what we can do to make sure that I don't starve, because that is actually a very, very big possibility now. Oh boy. One, giving me another field. Next action will be, let's grab ourselves the stone and the clay. And now I'm going to go ahead and build out a stone oven with my major improvement. So 3 stone and 1 clay. So hopefully this will help me with my food issues and give me a nice amount of points for 3 stone and 1 clay. Doing so allows me to immediately bake bread, and I'll do so. So I'll get 8 food for these 2 clay. But I'm still pretty nervous because I don't think I planned properly. Hopefully it won't come back to bite me. All right, next turn. I can still slaughter the sheep if I need to, but I'd rather not. Right, 1 wood. So now I have 12 wood sitting there. 1 clay, 1 reed, and fishing gets refilled. Sheep get refilled. Boar get refilled, and now we have 1 vegetable. So take 1 grain, and also plow a field in the process. Take a vegetable. No plowing field in the process. Also in baked bread. So this gives me 1 right there. 2 more right there. I'm trying to figure out how much food do I have. I believe I have 9 food. Is that correct? Yes, 9 food. I need 12 food. So the only way I'll be able to get myself to 12 food will obviously be to turn this grain right here into 4 food. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that gets me my 12 food. I'll have 1 left over. I still have 1 more action left, which is good for me. Oops, need to refill the stone. Okay. Do I want to use that to give myself an occupation? Oh boy. Yeah, so what should I do? Take that occupation, pay 1 food, and it will be a wood carver. This will help me in being able to turn a room, build a room or a stable or a fence for 1 wood less. That gives me a little bit of advantage. All right, so now we go into our feeding phase. Well, harvest phase first. So these 3 get taken off, as does that. I pay my 12 food. Sad to see it go, but time's the brakes. And let's start a new round. Another stone. Sweet. 4 sheep. Let's get ourselves 2 more wood. This is going to come out to 12, 14 14 wood so far. Okay, that's good for me. That allows me to build a full complement of fences, which is what I'll prioritize this turn. Because that way I'll be able to store all my sheep and all my boar. Let's do that. Go here. 4, 8, 12, and 14 wood. Second action will be to fence everything with it. Now remember, I'm going to fence 15 because with 14 wood because I have the wood carver. So this allows me to set up some stables. Still feel like I'm running by the seat of my pants in terms of being able to create a viable food engine, but now things don't seem as hopeless as before. And hopefully that trend will stay. Still have 2 more actions left. Let's get ourselves this in there. That should be 4. So let's get ourselves all the sheep and all of this more. So that gives me a source of 4 food because these animals will replicate and I can just use them as a persistent food source. Hooray! Now we approach the next round before the feeding phase, and it is, of course, cattle. Cattle, 4, and sheep. We have 2 stone, 2 wood, 1 clay, 1 reed, and 1 for fishing. All right, I think things are much better here. So let's take ourselves a grain so we can plow our last field. So now this board is already fairly full. I mean, at this point, the only thing I have to make sure I do is that I don't forsake growing food, and that I always have a consistent resource, and that I can continually buy stuff, buy different cards to maximize my point total. So see what I can do there. Next turn would be to sow and bake bread. Go ahead and stick this here for 1. Burn 2 of this for food. This will be 8 food for me. Guess that stone, I wasn't planning on buying the stone oven, but now that I have, it has proven to be extremely useful. So 8 food. These animals will each produce 2 food each, and they'll grow back. So I am basically all set for food this round. So now it's going to come down to which resources I would like to buy, to get. And there are good options. There are good options. I think, however, I will wait 1 more round before I start grabbing the stone, which means I can just let these animals keep on growing by taking the fishing square, get myself 4 food, which is not a small amount. And then I will go ahead and play an improvement. A bookshelf. Whenever I play an occupation, I get 3 food before I pay the cost of the occupation. So this will give me another food source. So that does it for this round. Harvest, 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 and harvest. Now to kill off my food supply, which is 8, 12 food total. And these animals will replicate. So I now have more boar and more sheep. And we're ready to start stage 5, which will have some of the best cards in the game. So now to refill the board, let's go. Stone, stone. Another 2 wood. 1 clay. 1 reed. 1 fishing. A sheep. A boar. And a cattle. All right, let's get this good. Family growth. 3 stone. 4 stone. And now for the piece de resistance, I am going to go ahead and renovate. So first I'll renovate the clay houses to stone houses, which will give me even more points. So kick these out. And now we have an awesome stone house that I get to live in. Okay. And then with this 3, plus the help of my wood carver, since I can use the wood carver to make an improvement cost 1 wood less, I will use it to buy a well. Well. So this gives me 1 food for the next 5 rounds, but there's only a couple rounds left, so we're not going to be able to do as much as I wanted, but still, it's something. So we're good there. Let's take our guys back. I get 1 food. We flip this over. It's plow and sow, of course. So boar, cattle, and sheep. Let's get 2 wood, 1 clay, 1 reed, 1 fishing, and the stone will refill. Now the question is, how am I going to be able to feed? That's not too hard. Okay, first thing I'll do, occupation, so I get 3 food, except I have to pay 1, so that's going to be a net 2 food because of the bookshelf. To play a fieldsman, whenever you sow 1 field, place 2 extra goods from the supply on it. Whenever you sow 2 fields, place 1 extra good on the supply on each. So this way I'll be able to just cheese my way through and get enough supplies to meet the point totals and also the and also make sure I have enough food. Also, I have 5 guys out, so I'll have to pay 15 food this round. And I'll have to do so again next round, which kind of annoys me, but I think I'll be able to manage. So with that, so bake. I'm going to go ahead and sow 2 right there. So that way I can add 3 instead of just 2. And this will incidentally get me all the resources that I would need to get full points, these 2 stacks alone. So I'll go ahead and kill this off to turn it into 8 food. And I'm going to need a lot of it too. So this is 4. and 8. All right, what is next? What is next? Well, I could go for stables now, or I could wait next turn to maximize stables. But I think now is probably as good an opportunity as I'll get. So let's make sure I'll be able to hold everything. Go here, collect these, go here to build 3 stables. 1, 2, and 3. Now, if I remember correctly, to maximize the number of points I get from animals, I would need to have 8 sheep, which I can do. I would need to get 7 boar, which is possible, and then 6 cattle, which I won't be able to do, but that's fine because I'll still be able to get a good chunk of cattle in there. I have 1 more turn left. So let's see. 5. I'll go ahead and, you know what? I'll grab 3 cattle right now. So that way I'll be able to feed for sure. So that ends it. 5 players. I need 15 food. So this is 8 food, 9, 10, 11. 11. I need 4 more food. So I'll kill off a sheep. I'll kill off a boar. And these sheep then have babies, which will allow me to get that sheep back and the boar back. And of course, my cattle also reproduce. I'll have more there. I could actually just throw all the boar into my forest pasture, so why don't I do that? I knew I bought this card for a reason. So let's move them over there. So that way my cattle will have more room to breathe, inbreed, and do whatever it is cows do. I'll have to remember that these also go off. All right, and now we go to the 5th and final round. So far I survived, folks, but it was pretty close. So all that food is gone. Get 1 new food from the well, and let's refill. Okay. 1 wood, 1 grain, 1 reed, fishing, stone, and stone. Now on to the animals. We have our sheep, our boar, and our cattle. Okay, so this is going to be the final round. Not much else to do except maximize my points and make sure that at the end of the game I will have 15 points to go over. So let's do our last so bake bread. So let's get 1 there and 2 there. So I'll get 2 grain. And then 2 vegetables. And now, folks, I can basically burn off the rest of my resources because they're no longer going to be useful because I already have the maximum amount of grain and I won't get any points for any more vegetables, so time to burn. This is 8 food. Still need to pay out 15, but that's okay. That's 5 food. And this becomes 8 food, 9 food. This becomes 4 food each because my fireplace can convert food, grain into food with a baked bread, and vegetables you can convert anytime. So 4 more food. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So I have 13 food right now, more than enough for me to work with. So boar, store them here. Sheep, store them here. Cattle, store this one here. That way I'll be able to get all 4 points for cattle. And with this last one, what can I honestly do? Well, there isn't a whole lot left. I mean, if I could get stone, maybe I could do something. But as it is, I managed to survive, folks. And now we can just calculate points. Why don't we do that? So let's take fishing. And that gives me enough for 15 food after we all harvest. So food is paid for. And I'll still have 1 food left. 1 food left at the very end of the game, which is useless, but I'll have full marks and everything else. So let's go through the point totals. Fields, I have 5 fields, 4 points. Pastures, I have 4 pastures, that's 4 points, 8 points total so far. Grain, I have 8, more than 8, I have 9, so that's 4 points, 12 points total. Vegetables, I have 4, so that's another 4 points, so 16 points, pretty good. Sheep, I have more than 8, I have 10 in fact. So that gives me another 4 points. While boar, I have more than 7, so that's another 4 points. Cattle, I forgot to do some breeding, but that gives me 6, so 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 times 4 is 28 points so far. How many points in the farmyard that are empty spaces? No, I don't lose points there. I don't get any points for every clay hut room, but I have 2 points for every stone house room. So 28 plus 8 is 36. 36. And I get 3 points for each family member. So I have 5 family members. 5 times 3 is 15. 15 plus 36 is 51. 51 points just from my board alone. But I also have points from cards. So Forest Pasture gives me 1 point. Bookshelf gives me another point. So that's 2 so far. Stone Oven gives me 3 points. That's 5 points. Fireplace gives me another point. That's 6. Well gives me another 4 points. That's another 10 points. 10 points plus 51 is 61. And finally, do I get any bonus points? Well, the Church Warden gives me 3 bonus points if I perform actions with at least 5 people in round 14. So that's another 3 points. 61 plus 3 is 64. So folks, I've managed to end a solo game of Agricola with 64 points. So yeah, thanks for sitting through this. I know this was probably a lot to go through, especially with all the mistakes I made, but hopefully you still enjoyed it and maybe even learned a thing or two. Now, my question to you is what I could have done to optimize my play. I think there were a lot of moments where I could have done so. I mean, I did grab some stuff just a little bit too early, but you know, it's just the way it is. So, oh, I've got these things. So instead of 64 points, I have 67 points from this playthrough. Hopefully you'll learn something, but I'd love to know what your thoughts are in the comments below, or even in the chat, so I can figure out how to improve in subsequent playthroughs, because I do plan to do one once I get Gloomhaven. So thanks, folks. Hope you had a great time, and I'll see you next time.